Breaking news as we have a rare Saturday trade in the National Football League. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day, and I hope all of the real ones out there are having a fantastic weekend. Wow. I talked about this on the show the other night, but I didn't see it actually happening. The other night I was talking about how Howie Roseman is supposedly infatuated with the idea of trading for Myles Garrett. He could give up 3 first-round picks for one of the best defensive players in the history of the NFL, one of the top defensive players in the league right now. And in that show, I mentioned how the Baltimore Ravens and Jaire Alexander could be parting ways soon because he was a healthy scratch going into Thursday Night Football against the Miami Dolphins. And I talked about an option for Howie Roseman at corner being Jaire Alexander, but it wasn't a move that I would have explored, and it's not a move that I thought that the Eagles are going to make. But here are the trade details here. The Eagles are trading for Ravens cornerback Jaire Alexander, who the Eagles showed a lot of interest in during the offseason. He was a big topic on this show. The Eagles get him and a 2027 7th-round pick from the Ravens in exchange for a 2026 6th-round pick. So the Eagles are giving up that 6th-round pick in 2026 with the Tank Bigsby trade. They also gave up a couple of late-round picks, but look, Howie Roseman is going to exhaust every avenue to try to improve his football team. Outside corner has been a little bit of an issue for the Eagles. This is the second trade that he's made this week at corner. Slot corner Michael Carter, perimeter corner Jaire Alexander, and Howie has said, we love our draft picks, but we will give them up if that means that we can improve our team. And the Eagles are still locked and loaded with a lot of draft capital going into the future. Other roster moves here for the Birds. They placed safety Marcus Epps and edge rusher Azeez Ojulari on injured reserve. Now, before we continue to dive into this is why you subscribe to the channel. I'm at home. I was going on a walk and been watching college football all day. Just wanted to get some fresh air, some sunlight, do some grounding. The real ones know. And then I got the notification. Howie Roseman making another move, not for a pass rusher, but for another corner. Regardless of where I am, what I'm doing, we talk Eagles every single day year round, and I always have the Bird Gang covered here on the show. Lock us in, subscribe. What's funny about this trade, too, is that Jaire Alexander has an opportunity to make his Eagles debut against his former team in the Green Bay Packers once the Eagles come out of the bye and play the Packers on Monday Night Football in Week 10. And that is going to be a massive game. Currently, the Packers are the number 1 seed in the NFC, even though the Eagles have more wins than the Green Bay Packers. The Eagles are the 2 seed. This is a game that could very well determine home field advantage in the NFC and the number 1 seed in the conference come playoff time. And at the very least, Jaire Alexander in this game, potentially for a playoff rematch, could give this Eagles defense some intel on an NFC power, because prior to this year, he had spent his entire career with Green Bay. Signed with the Ravens this offseason, 1-year contract worth like $4 million, potentially up to $6 million, and he was teammates at Louisville with Lamar Jackson, and so that relationship is still really strong. And so Jaire Alexander went to Baltimore. Obviously, for as long as I've been following football, they've always had really stout, good defenses. They've done a great job of maximizing and developing corners, but this was a rare move for Baltimore on defense where it didn't really work out. And Jaire Alexander only played in 2 games for Baltimore this year, had 43 coverage snaps, allowed 5 catches on 5 targets for 116 yards. And a reason why I was never in love with the Eagles making this trade is that, 1, he hasn't played well this season. 2, he's been injured a lot throughout his career. Now, I understand there's not a lot of risk here. You're not paying him a lot. You didn't give up a lot. But for a player who's playing poorly and hurt a lot, how much is he going to be able to help you this season? And what does this mean for Jacorian Bennett, who should be coming back after the bye week? Is he dangled in a trade? Could the Eagles look to trade Akili Ringo and Adoree Jackson? Could they cut an Adoree Jackson? All those are possibilities. What does this mean for the Eagles' trade of Michael Carter? Is he just going to be a backup slot corner because Cooper DeJean is so elite there? Do the Eagles still have plans to use DeJean on the outside? Is this bringing in a player in Jaire Alexander who's been a former All-Pro, who gives you more depth at the corner spot? Wouldn't surprise me if the Eagles tried to dangle a corner in a trade on top of draft picks to maybe trade for a pass rusher. I think those are all things to keep an eye out for. As far as Alexander's resume, it really speaks for itself. He's been an elite player in this league for a very long time, up until somewhat recently when he's been hurt a lot. First round pick, 18th overall out of Louisville in the 2018 NFL draft, and right away comes in as a rookie for Green Bay and has an interception, 11 pass breakups, and gave Green Bay lockdown corner play on the outside. That came in 13 games, 11 starts. Year 2, 16 games, 16 starts. That was still when the NFL was only playing 16 games. He had 17 pass breakups that year and, 2 interceptions. Year 3, 15 games, 1 pick, 13 pass breakups, and a forced fumble. That year, he was a Pro Bowler and a second-team All-Pro. This is where the injuries started to happen for him. 2021, this is year 4. Only played in 4 games with 4 starts. Had a pick. Comes back in 2022, plays in 16 games with 16 starts, had 5 interceptions that year, 14 PBUs, was once again a Pro Bowler and a second-team All-Pro. So 2 times in 3 years, he was a second-team All-Pro and a Pro Bowler. Twice in his first 4 years, Pro Bowler and a second-team All-Pro. But he was hurt a lot in 2021, only played those 4 games. 2023, played 7 games. 2024, played 7 games. 2025 has only played in 2 games. So what do the Eagles expect from him? A veteran whose best days probably behind him. At the best, you're probably getting a depth piece you can maybe rely on, and maybe he can find something. I mean, he's going to be a free agent after this season, but maybe he can be that veteran presence in a young corner room that the Eagles have kind of missed without Darius Slay, without Isaiah Rodgers. The resume, impressive. What he's done of late, not that great as far as missing a lot of time and not playing that well, especially this year with Baltimore. This is notable as well, and I think this did go into the Eagles' decision to make this trade. Eagles defensive backs coach Christian Parker, who Vic Fangio loves, who I think is going to be an elite defensive coordinator before we know it, and has done a great job in coaching up and developing Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. He's well acquainted with Jaire Alexander from his stint as the Green Bay Packers defensive quality control coach from 2019 through 2020. So, look, maybe Jaire struggled with Baltimore because it's a completely new scheme. That defense prior to Thursday had also been pretty bad. Now he has familiarity with Christian Parker, Jeff Hafley, Vic Fangio. I wouldn't say they run the same defensive system, but they ask their corners sometimes to do the same types of things as far as man, zone, and assignments. But I just didn't see this trade coming. It's a very surprising one for me. More to get to here in just a moment. Let's get to our sponsor, though. This episode of Philadelphia Eagles Now, brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football season action, even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. It's the #1 fantasy sports app in North America. Get your picks in less than 60 seconds. You choose more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and they have some new features. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Jalen Hurts' pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns. Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. You can also follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app, copy their lineups in one click. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. See if anything else has come in here on this trade. Nothing other than just the trade details. And the Eagles even tweeted those out. Philadelphia acquiring Jaire Alexander, 2027 7th-round pick from the Ravens in exchange for a 2026 6th-round pick. Marcus Epps, Azeez Ojulari on injured reserve. You put another edge on IR. You do get back Nolan Smith and Brandon Graham. Look, wouldn't surprise me if the Eagles and Howie Roseman make a move for a pass rusher. That could be determined by what happens tomorrow on Sunday. Eagles have their bye. They'll be monitoring teams who are in a spot where they don't know yet if they're going to buy, if they're going to sell. If some of these teams with some really good pass rushers lose on Sunday and some of these players become expendable, whether it be Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals, Jermaine Johnson, Jalen Phillips, who according to everybody's favorite reporter, Diana Rossini, who finally stopped on the A.J. Brown reporting, she reported that the Eagles have shown interest in Jermaine Johnson and Jalen Phillips, whether it be a Bradley Chubb. I think the Eagles aren't done. I just think they want to wait to see what dominoes fall going into Tuesday's NFL trade deadline. And I'll be live all day on Philadelphia Eagles Now, so be sure to join us. Let's see. The Eagles cornerback room now. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jaire Alexander, Jacorian Bennett, Mac McWilliams, Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo, Michael Carter II. I mean, this is why I said earlier, as we're reacting to this in real time, obviously, almost 6 p.m. Eastern, you could trade a corner, whether it be Adoree Jackson, whether it be Keely Ringo. I know the popular talking point is always, hey, move this player to safety. Could the Eagles put Michael Carter at safety? He's played on the inside, maybe in some personnel packages, depending on the scheme, depending on the play call, depending on the personnel for defense and offense. You could put him there. I will say he's a really good run defender. So if you want to put him in the box, I think that you can do that. He does have 4.3 speed. He runs really well. And sometimes that's why safeties convert to safety, because they don't run well. That could be a possibility as well as we spitball here. Jeremy Fowler also saying Eagles might not be done on the trade front. The trade is viewed as adding competition and depth to the defensive back room from Tim McManus. I saw Zach Berman say something I thought. Yeah, Alexander played 2 games this year, was buried on the depth chart. Gives him a chance to play. Huh. Yeah, just surprised by it. But look, Howie Roseman's not only going to target stars, he's going to try to build depth with the football team because he knows it makes Eagles better. So that is the breaking news on a Saturday afternoon going into the evening. Good college football slate to round out the day. Game 7 of the World Series between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. What a crazy ending to Game 6 last night. I'll be watching college football. I'll be watching Game 7 of the World Series. No watch party tomorrow, obviously, because the Eagles are on that bye. Put out a show a little bit earlier, mailbag segment. Content to come tomorrow because the content never stops. Live on Eagles Now on Tuesday for the NFL trade deadline. Probably going to put out a preview on Monday. Eagles-Packers. Going to be a huge one. Can't wait for it. All right, this is Philadelphia Eagles Now. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you all soon.